Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Okay, well, the next step is to make this whole hinge system work. And remember, I got some blanks cut out and threaded with 8 threads per inch, and then we cut some shafts that will fit that thread. Fits the OD of it, so we need to cut threads for that. But and then also using this as our kind of our guide. Remember that this goes over these two switch places. The threads are on the shaft, and this little sleeve fits on the little arm that rotates. So, using this as our guide, we're going to sketch something out that we might be able to use, and this is basically the arm, right? And so then we have a small sleeve that has the real steep threads to it, and on the inside of the sleeve is, I hope, another thread with a shaft that kind of goes into that has very small threads, and then goes to the larger shaft that goes out to the end of the hinge with that little bolt head on the end of it. So then the plan is to come in with a lock nut to come in right in this general area here, and screw this sleeve onto the shaft. No, this sleeve goes here, and screw the mating sleeve, which will be, probably about that long, onto the shaft, and lock nut it in place, and that way there's our adjustment, so that we can get it to adjust just to where the arm, when it pulls down, it just snugs down real good and tight. So that's the general plan. First thing we have to do is figure out how big or how small we can cut this without it losing its integrity, and then we have to cut our threads for these two shafts. And actually, we could probably just use one of the shafts and cut a right-hand thread and then cut a left-hand thread. So let's go over to the lathe and figure this out. Okay, well, we've got it cut to where we think it's going to fit. We're going to do one more spring pass just to see if we can kind of just get a little bit more. Zero. Well, that didn't do anything, so we're going to back it up and take another 5. Try that. Oh, almost. I mean, it wants to go on. And it's almost there. Okay, we're going to take another 5. Ooh, very, very close. Very close. I mean, it goes on almost one full turn. All right, let's just give it a little bit more. Ouch. Another 5. Now about a turn and a half. Okay, hang on. Let's put it on from the other side, just in case. This is the side. All right, just another 5. Ah. Trying to kind of wear it in just a little bit. It's just binding just a little bit at the end here. But otherwise, nice and smooth. I think I might just lap it in because I'm running out of room as far as my inside diameter is concerned. Let's see what we've got. We're sitting at a little under 200, and our die is, or our tap is, 15 under that. That's not very much. That's 7/1000ths on each side. Well, we're going to have to figure this out and come back and see what we can do. Okay, we've decided to go to a 632 drill, or a 632 tap. So we're drilling it at 36 or 106 thousandths. And that's going to give us a little bit more strength down the center of that. And whether it gives us enough strength, I don't know. We're not going to know until we actually take it out and give it a try. Oops. right, that's going to give us plenty of thread. Let's trim off this end very carefully. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's see how much room we still have. I'm going to go just a little further. That should get it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the drill bit right up to this. Let me go get a handle. And we actually have a center hole in the back of this handle, so we'll go ahead and use that. Look at that. Nice. All right, let's give that a try. A little go juice. The bit is just a bit too small for the chuck. Nope. All right, let's see if we can find something smaller. We'll be back. Okay, we got a bigger handle here than I want to use, but I just have to be gentle and it should be just fine. Let's back this whole mess up. Okay, we got plenty of thread right there. I like that. So there's, let's see, there's a half turn right there. We got plenty of movement. Okay, good. Good start. Now what we're going to do is get our other shaft. Let me We'll eventually cut it to length, which will be about this long, with the threads, and then the threads will thread onto that, and then that little dinky lock nut will go right on top of that. So I think we got a good start, and I'm going to just leave it right on the end here just in case we have to do some messing around toward the end, but at the moment it looks good. Let's do the other one. Alright, there we go. And that is is it a left-hand thread? I don't know. No, I'll lose that. I am certain it is a left-hand thread. So we're going to come back to 0. If maybe that relieves it a little bit. Yep, look at that. No problem. Right on. Nice and snug too. Okay, good. So now we'll trim off the end. At this point we can start to move a little faster. Okay, so we're going to put this little arm in here, but it's going to be the very thing that everybody looks at, and so we want to kind of make it a little bit fancy, not just a plain old bolt. So I think what we'll do is we're going to cut a pattern, and we're going to put it on the tracer attachment in the lathe and pull off a nice contour. So we'll put that over there, we'll put this here, and I'm just going to imagine and this angle could be any angle, it doesn't really matter, because when I set it up I can adjust it one way or the other. The key is to make this, which will be the little knob on the end, and then we can kind of round it off afterwards. I think that's going to do the trick here, something in that general area at least. And then we'll just put a couple of slots in here and here, and that'll give us the contour, and maybe we'll continue that down. Okay, we're going to take it over to the saw and saw it out. All right, well, that's a good start. Now we'll just take the file and square up the line. Yeah, that's reasonable. Okay, so we're going to put it in the mill. We're going to cut a couple of ovals and go from there. All right, well, we got 2 holes, but man, what a mess. All right, but you know, that doesn't really matter. It's just to be able to adjust it up and down. So we're gonna take it over to the lathe and see what we can do about making it. All right, well, it's the next morning, and before we get started on the arm, I think we need to resolve these 2 pieces here, get them closer together, get them solid, and weld them up. And then I'm thinking it's entirely possible that, you know, we're going to have an arm, and I'm just going to use this as an example for an arm. We're going to have an arm that we're going to be pulling on to tighten things up, and it could torque my 2 pivots for the hinge, and that could create a problem right in here where it's going to be a bit weak. So I think it might be a good idea to create, and we're going to do it in the drawing here, a seat for the pivot to sit on. And basically the seat would look like, and I'm just going to kind of draw a perspective, kind of look like that. And this will fit right inside of this little pocket here, and then maybe we may have to put a little strap to kind of hold it in place. I mean, that's possible. I don't want to have to do that, but we may end up having to do something like that, so I want to plan for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and square up these faces and then weld it together and get it all secure, and then turn it down to as narrow as we can get it, because it's got to fit inside of this hinge right here, and then maybe taper it from there down to just a little bit of a seat right here, and the seat will be as small as it can possibly be and still have something to grab onto. So I think that's probably our next step. We're going to go over the little lathe and go ahead and turn these down and kind of get them all set up. Okay, so we've got our piece in, and we just need to kind of square up don't need that. Okay, a little bit of squaring up. Let me tighten this up, make sure we're good and snug. All right, before we go any further, I want to check and make sure we've got the right width. All right, we're going to be looking at either 750, which is definitely not big enough, or 250, which is just about right. Yep. All right, so we're going to stop there for that one. And there's our facing pieces. Let's see what that looks like width-wise. Slightly under 250. Looks like in the end it's probably going to be more like 200. So we will be right back. All right, so we've got our two pieces and we're ready to start to silver solder them together. Get a little flux on here. Set our pieces up. Make sure they're reasonably lined up. Get a little flame going. And we want to use, in the jewelry industry, excuse me, in the jewelry industry we have three levels of solder. And one is melts at the highest temperature, which we call hard solder. And the second one melts at a medium temperature, and the last one melts at a very low temperature. Well, low comparatively speaking. I mean, literally it's 50 degrees between temperatures, but it's enough to give you just enough movement just enough so that you can solder one thing and then come back in later and solder something to it and not have the first thing, the solder, melt on you. So we're going to solder with hard solder here. If we can get it to stick. We got to bring it up to higher temperature here. All right, I think we got a take. I'm not positive. This stuff definitely doesn't act like silver or gold. But I think we're in good shape. So let's go back and see if it actually did grab. And if it didn't, remember, we're going to put another piece on top of this, and we'll be able to get the solder to flow with that.